I didn't give you any solos, just like
And I'm
chorus.
just a background.
Oh, yay, me too.
I'm only good you background.
Yeah.
They call it background in the
Yes,
business.
that's fine. That's what I like. Good.
I think I have enough men now.
So I was needed.
You were. You are.
Answering the
I tell
call.
people, after I tell people I got scouted, then I tell them it was a mitzvah. So
That's right. It's both.
there's no turning back.
Morning. Oh, Brian showed us how to. Yeah. What are you doing here? Ah, very cool. But I don't. I met him at his interview, a couple of interviews, and we went to lunch, and that was it. Oh. Good idea. Just what would you mention? Yeah. Moved.
Hi. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you for braving the sleet this morning. Wasn't there sleet? Did you have sleet by you? It was snowing. It was snowing.
I almost didn't get out of my driveway. I
Only
almost texted you, sorry.
only because you didn't want to get out of your driveway. It's like I can't get out of the driveway because I'm still.
I had a picture to show you.
I'm
and
still in my
everything.
pajamas and I'm not leaving, so I can't get out of my driveway because I'm in my pajamas. Yeah. So, yeah. I think the live stream is working, so hello to the live stream. It's supposed to be. It says it is. So hopefully it's transmitting out into the live stream world. Hello, Shabbat Shalom to you on the live stream as well. We are going to dive right in on this Shabbat morn. We're going to do a little Modeh on page 170. As a reminder, your Siddur is underneath, right underneath. 170.
Modeh ani lefanecha, melech v'kayam, shechezarta binishmati bechemla, Rabba emunatecha, Modeh ani lefanecha, Melech v'kayam, shechezarta binishmati bechemla, Bechemla, Rabba emunatecha, Rabba emunatecha.
You're laughing at the response. Fine. Do you want to share with the group? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That was your big moment. That was your big moment.
Your solo.
Did you have the weekday and festival book? I usually make the announcement. I didn't make the announcement. You should check and
That's
make
what
sure the
happens.
cover of your book
Every
says
week you make the
Shabbat.
announcement, and everyone's like, "No, they're fine." But
Exactly,
you didn't
and I didn't make the
now
announcement.
there's-
So
yes.
make sure the front of your book says Shabbat, and not weekday and festival. Mine says Shabbat on it. Let's go around the room, and you tell us what's on the cover. I'm just kidding. Let's not do that.
Mine says Quran.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's not the right book for right now. We could discuss that some other time. It's not going to help us with Shachri. Nisim b'chol yom, our daily blessings and miracles, 175.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasach v'bina le'avchin ben yom u'ben layla.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, rokah ha'aretz alamayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechin metzadei gaver.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, albish harumim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten layaev koach.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamavir sheina meinai utnuma me'afapai.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani b'tzelem Elohim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shasani ben chorim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani Yisrael.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael b'gvura.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara.
Amen.
We continue with Psukei de Zimra, our morning section of Psalms on page 183.
Baruch shehamar v'haya haolam.
Baruch Hu,
Baruch Oseh v'reshit.
Baruch Omer ve'oseh,
Baruch gozer umkayem.
Baruch merachem al haaretz,
Baruch merachem al habriot.
Baruch meshalem sachar tov l'reyav,
Baruch chaylal v'kayam lanetzach.
Baruch podeh u'matzil, Baruch Shemo.
Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came to be.
Blessed is the one,
Blessed is the one who continually authors creation.
blessed is the one whose word is
Blessed
deed.
is the one who decrees and fulfills.
Blessed is the one who's compassionate towards the world.
Blessed is the one who's compassionate towards all creatures.
Blessed is the one who roars the reverent.
Blessed is the one who exists for all time, ever enduring.
Blessed is the one who redeems and saves. Blessed is God's name.
Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulam
La'olam
v'tishbachot.
We continue Shochen Ad 192.
Shochen ad maharom v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv ranenu tzadikim Adonai Aisharim navatehila Befi yesharim titalal Uvdivrei tzadikim titbarach Uvashon chasidim titromam Uvekerev kedoshim titgadash Uvemakalot rivevot Amcha beit Yisrael Berina yitpar Shimcha malkeinu bechol dor vador Yishtabach Shimcha la'ad malkeinu Ha'el ha'melech ha'gadol ve'ha'kadosh b'shamayim u'ba'aretz Baruch atah Adonai El melech gadol batishbachot El ha'hodaot Adon ha'niflaot Abocher b'shirei zimra Melech elchei ha'olamim
194.
Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei rabba Behelmat divrach yiruteh ve'yamlich malchuteh Bechayechon uv'yomechon Uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael Bagala magala Uv'izman kari ve'immeru Amen Yehi shmei rabba mevorach Le'olam malol mehamaya Yitbarach Yitbarach ve'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal Shemei dekodesh ha'berichu Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Tamiran be'alma ve'immeru Amen.
We stand for the Baruch Hu 195.
Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Lai la lai 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 lai. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. HaMevorach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam yotzer or vorech choshech oseh shalom uvoreh et hakol. Please be seated. We continue with Ahava Rabbah 198.
Ahava Rabbah Haftanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola V'Tera Hamalta Aleinu Ba'avur Avotenu Ve'imotenu Shebatchu Bech ותלמידים חוקי חיים והערנו בתורתך ודבק ליבנו במצוותיך ויחל לבבנו לאהבה וליראה את שמך ולא נבוש ולא ניכלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד כי בשם קודשך הגדול והנורא בטחנו נגילה ונשמחה נגילה ונשמחה בישועתך ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה
200.
שמע ישראל Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך מהיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
202.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי ידיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בצל תכלת והיה לכם לציצית וריתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. We continue, Mi Chamocha, page 204.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צו ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובני חרמך, יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
We continue with the Amidah 205.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Ha'ibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh HaKol, Ve'zocher Chaste Avot ve'imahot, Umevii Geula livnei v'neihem, Leman Shemo ve'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia. Mashiva ruach u'morida Gashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'gevurot, mido melach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman ata lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol.
Kedusha, page 208.
Nekadesh shimcha ba'olam, kishem shemakdishim ho'oto b'shmei marom, kakatuv al yad neviecha, v'kara ze el ze ve'amar, kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Kivodo, Adir Adirenu Adonai, Adonenu Mahadir Shimcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch Kivod Adonai Mimkomo. Echanu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu, Hu Moshienu Vehu Yashmienu, Berachamam Leinei Kol Chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai Leolam, Elohai Yichsion, Ledor Vador, Hallelujah, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador Nagid God Lecha, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador Nagid God Lecha, Ule Netzach Netzachim, Ule Netzach Netzachim, Kedushatecha Nagdish, Veshivchacha Eloheinu, Mihipinu lo yamush leolam va'ed, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador Nagid God Lecha, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador, Ledor Vador Nagid God Lecha, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hoel HaKadosh.
We continue silently now, beginning here on page 210 through page 219. And when you're finished, please be seated.
Ratzon imre fi vegion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegoali Adonai tzuri and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Iyu leratzon imrei fi ve'gion libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri ve'goali. Adonai tzuri ve'goali.
We continue with Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for reading the Torah, Le Shabbat, on this Shabbat morning, 244.
Ein kamocha va'elohim Adonai, vein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor v'hador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai himloch le'olam moed. Adonai oz le'amo yitein. Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Please stand.
Rachamim, Heitiv havitzoncha et Zion, Timneh chomot Yerushalayim, Ki v'chad levad batachnu, Melech el Rabbenisa, Adon olamim.
246.
Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Udvar Adonai, Mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, V'hitu Shato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai Iti, Uneromema Shemo, Yachtav, Lecha Adonai hagedula ve'hagedura ve'atiferet tzach ve'hahor כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה והמתנשא לכל ראש. רוממו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו לדום רגליו קדוש הוא. רוממו, רוממו, אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו להר קודשו, כי קדוש, כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
Please be seated. We are going to chant the Torah first. So you can find Bo. It's Exodus 10. Exodus 10. No special other info other than Exodus 10. Exodus 10. Chapter 10. What page? I don't know. In my book, it's 131 in my book. So it's 131 in my book. So it's 131 in my book. So I think that's super helpful for you. So 131 in my book. It's 131. No, mine's the. I got the whole Megillah right here. Literally. Not that early. So we're going to do two types of aliyot this morning. We're going to do an aliyah for Torah. So anyone wishing to do an aliyah for Torah, please come up. And then we're going to also be inviting up Stephanie because it's her birthday, and so we'll be doing a little Shabbat mishaberach for her. Not a healing mishaberach, but a celebratory mishaberach for her, since she'll be up here too. So, oh, and it's your dad's 111th birthday. It would have been, you're saying. It would have been your father's 111th birthday. Okay. Slight clarification, but okay.
Wait.
All right, so Ya'amdu Reuven Moshe ben David ve
Chaya bat Reuven.
Chaya bat Reuven al Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamorah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher baka banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe bo el Paro ki ani הכבדתי את ליבו ואת לב עבדיו למען שיתי אותותי אלה בקרבו ולמען תספר באוזני בנך ובן בנך את אשר התעללתי במצרים ואת אותותי אשר שמתי בם וידעתם כי אני אדוני ויבוא משה ואהרון אל פרעה ויאמרו אליו אמר אדוני אלוהי העברים עד מתי מאנת לענות מפני שלח עמי ויעבדוני.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet
v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Yeshua.
And for you, Stephanie, we say this: Mishperach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rachel ולאה, הוא יברך את האישה הזאת שעכשיו ביום הולדת שלה, בעבור שעלתה לכבוד המקום ולכבוד התורה ולכבוד היום הולדת, בסחר טוב, הקדוש ברוך הוא ישמריה ויציליה מכל צרה וצוקה, מכל נגע ומחלה, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיה עם כל ישראל, ונאמר אמן. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless Stephanie, who has come up to the Torah in the merit of Torah and the merit of Shabbat, but also for her birthday. May the one of blessing protect her or rescue her from any trouble or distress. May God send blessings and success in all of your endeavors, as together we all say,
Amen.
Amen.
Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Okay, we go.
Just stay up here anyway, because you can help us wrap up the Torah. Just stay. Here, just stay. That's good. You want to raise? Since you're here? Great. Do you need, are you going to miss Neil? Do you want him up here too? Neil, are you going to be okay? All right, okay. I mean, it's like are you all right? All right, okay, all right. So we're going to raise the rest of Torah 252. Please stand.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה.
Please be seated. Once again, we are in the Torah portion of Bo. I think, by the way, if any of you did look at the Shabbat message, I think it did last week's. So I think it was 2 weeks in a row. Clearly at CBI, we really are into Va'era, so we did it 2 weeks in a row. But it is not Va'era. It is, in fact, Bo. Anyone want an alternative translation today? Anyone want any of them? Anyone? Yeah? Which one would you like? This one? All right, great. All right. Anyone want the more of the conservative movement one? Etz Chaim? Anyone want Etz Chaim? Anyone? For a little translation? Today? Yeah, okay, great. No one has to do this. I mean, it's not like must happen. Who wants the very interesting Everett Fox today? Everett Fox translation? You got Everett Fox? Very good. Anyone want the women's commentary? Women's commentary. All right. It doesn't always have to be a woman, by the way. But, all right, good. All right.
Yes, it
Does
does.
it? So does a woman have to always have the women's commentary? No, I don't know. There's usually it's a woman who does take the women's commentary, but yeah. So, all right, we're on, again, we're on Exodus 10, verse 1, where we start looking at our Torah discussion. Who's in there? Hello? Who's in our... Phone number. Ooh. Doo, 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 doo. From Long Island, so they're probably just around the corner. Since most likely, if it's a Long Island phone number, they're 2 blocks away, right here in the 6th borough here of Boca. Exactly. Are those new glasses? Do both of you have glasses? Is that new? Are those new? No? Those aren't new? No? All right, great, okay. All right. Let's do our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. All right. Last week were 7 of the 10 plagues. Last week, and so since last week were 7 of the 10 plagues, how many plagues are left for this week? 3. Everyone did well on their mathematical word problems this morning. Excellent. By the way, that is the height of my math skill, so thank you for playing along with me, because that was maybe the only word problem I ever got correct, ever in school. So, and Siri. So, yes, Siri does all my math for me at all times. It was very nice. I was at a restaurant the other day, and I was trying to calculate the tip, and Siri was helping. And then as Siri was helping, the server pointed out that, because now on the receipts they show you the 18, the thing, and the total, and I was like, oh, I don't even need Siri, thanks. I'll just take that one. Thank you very much. And now they're even smarter. Have you seen, like, sometimes they come with a device that you put your card into. It's already there, and you can do it right, type it right on the thing. I don't even have to think. It's great. They just take the money from me out of the card, which isn't real money anyway, because on a credit card, so that's not real money anyway. It's like someone else's money that I pay for every month. Excellent. All right, so we're on the last 3 plagues. We're going to look at the last 3 plagues briefly, I'm hoping, and then, because there's a lot more in the Torah portion. So we'll look at the last 3 plagues briefly, and then we'll... We're on Exodus 10. Exodus 10, yes. Yeah, it's on page 131. So, yes. So, so that's the plan. Let's see if we can get through that, and there's a bunch more of that. That's all. This is very Passover-y, by the way. This Torah portion is all Passover all the time. It's all constructs of Passover are in this Torah portion. Let's bow. That was a good one. You waiting all day for it. You was like, I want to say let's bow, and then you did it, and it's great. Okay. Please, Linda, for the bowing. Go. Okay, go.
Then the Eternal One said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his courtiers, in order that I may display these my signs among them, and that you may recount in the hearing of your children and of your children's children how I made a mockery of the Egyptians, and how I displayed my signs among them, in order that you may know that I am the Eternal." So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said to him, "Thus says the Eternal, the God of the Hebrews, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, that they may worship me. For if you refuse to let my people go, tomorrow I will bring locusts on your territory."
Okay, thank you. So, what do we have so far? Let my people go. It's very nice. Yes, that was your chance to sing it, buddy. Very nice. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good. All right. So we have let my people go. It is not the first time, but we have let my people go. Nice. What else do we have? What else is going on? They're getting a locust. So by now, this is not the first. This interchange has happened before. This between Moses and Aaron and Pharaoh. This has happened before. This is now the 8th time that they are having this same exact dialogue, and now locusts. Yes, who wants to? Gail. Gail, you're going to be Gail. You're going to be on mute, right, Gail? The rest of the time.
Hardened his heart, referring to the Pharaoh. I had read a couple of weeks ago that commentary that said the reason God hardened Pharaoh's heart was so that he would have free choice. And at first I couldn't wrap my head around it, but then I thought about it, and I realized that this way, all the terrible things that were happening, he wouldn't be compelled by them. He would have to do it by his own choice.
Interesting. Go on, because I'm hearing sort of two things at the same time. Go on, explain that thought again. If the heart is hardened, then what you're saying that the choice is heightened or lessened? If the heart is hardened, are you saying that
if the heart is hardened,
yeah,
he wouldn't be influenced by the plagues that were going on, that he would come to make the decision himself to let the people go?
Oh, interesting.
He obviously wasn't doing.
Oh, so that you're saying that he wasn't susceptible, perhaps, to the feeling of what it must have felt like because his heart was hardened. And so he comes to these choices, the ultimate choice, the last choice. He makes that last choice, you're saying, on his own after the 10th plague? Is that what you're saying?
That was the commentary.
That was the commentary. That was the commentary. It's an interesting angle because the hardening heart section is complicated for us. So it's an interesting commentary that he was maybe more immune to it because his heart was hardened. It's interesting. The hardening, which I think is difficult to wrap our heads around, sometimes I think is not so difficult to get our heads around because I think that we harden our hearts to a lot of things, right? That we just decide that it's okay. Like maybe initially we're really upset about it, but then our hearts get hardened, and then it's not such a big deal anymore. There are a lot of things in the world that our hearts are hardened to. I mean, right? We have to, because otherwise we have to function, right? Otherwise we're not able to function. So we have to harden our hearts. So our hearts are hardened all the time, and we choose to harden our hearts because maybe it's too much for us, right? It's too much to see the poverty. It's too much to see. Constant shootings. It's hard. It's too hard to see that. So if each time we were rendered into a state of non-functionality, then it wouldn't work. We have to find some way to harden our hearts to it, which is a terrible thing, but that's sort of the play on the duality of these moments. Yeah. Right. So, right. I mean, I think the media either helps or hurts the situation, obviously, because I think that our hearts maybe are non-hardened for a little while, and then our hearts get rehardened again, right? That we're like, oh, it's so terrible, and but well, now I have to go to work, and now I have to watch my show on my streaming device, right? I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's just a generality that we have to go back into the whatever. But I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, I know it's bad, but it's a function of it. Were you going to say something?
I was going to go on to like verse 4, like the grammatical construct of the threat. Like, if you don't, then this will happen. I'm just curious. I'm not going to tell you I know. Is the grammatical construct the same for all of them? Like, if you don't, like it's like a parent making a threat, and then you have to follow through naturally. So it's 1 through 7 all. If you don't, I will bring boils. If you don't, I will, hurt your cattle. If you don't, like, because this one is very like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, look, I just as an example, I looked at frogs for a second. Yeah, and frogs has the same exact construct. Yeah. It says if you refuse to let them go, then I will plague your whole country with frogs. For instance, yeah. So yeah, it's the if then statement, which again is an opportunity for Pharaoh to say, okay, enough. Okay, the frogs were enough, the lice were enough, the were enough, but yeah.
What gets me is Fox says it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
It says, but if you refuse to send my people free here,
Yeah.
the locust.
Yeah, Fox. Why I like Fox is he's less flowery, in his translation. He's not saving the grammatical construct for us to sound like. It's more in your face. It's more translated directly from the text that says, right, if you don't do it, the locusts are coming tomorrow. Like, this is it. Like, it's not like, oh, you should think about it, lest this, blah, blah, blah. It's all like very flowery, but Fox is more like, you don't do it, it's coming. Yeah.
And the other thing is that Moses, probably likes what he said to him and immediately tells Pharaoh what he said.
Who like you think Moses likes what God is saying?
Yeah, the fact that he's being responded like immediately.
If it's possible, it's possible. Yeah, yeah.
Every week I come and try to learn something, what's going to work for the day.
Yeah.
So what I think is happening here is we're being taught to wear our limitations. And God is giving Moses the vehicle, the ammunition to make Pharaoh be afraid of him, to realize he can't beat him, he's more powerful. And we are to learn this about our daily life. And what we do day to day is that, hey, we can't fix it, we can't change it. Harden your heart, accept it, and do the best you can do, or it can be. I read this as what we live with, again, every day. So maybe it's oversimplifying it, but bottom line is, you got this guy, he's taunting him, he's telling him, you can't beat me.
Yeah.
You better give me what I want,
Oh.
because I'm going to crush you.
Yeah. Oh.
If you don't understand I'm going to crush you, I'm going to show you I'm going to crush you. And it's kind of what you got to do in your own brain with what you can't overcome.
Yeah. No, I very much agree. Particularly with the first part is that this is a showdown between Pharaoh and God, and it's clearly one-sided, right? I mean, it starts off with the rod and the snake, right, where they match up for a second, right, where maybe Pharaoh's like, I got this. Right? Oh, your staff turned into a snake. Oh, my staff turns into a snake too. This is nothing. This is easy. But then, right? Then the blood, and then the frogs, and then the lice, and then we talked about this a little bit last week too. Like what could the Egyptians have been thinking? We don't really hear about the Egyptians necessarily, but who were subjected to this day in and day out. Right? Imagine turning on the faucet in the morning, and I don't know who I was talking to about this. I had this conversation this past week with someone. Just think of one day of your life where you turn the faucet on and the water doesn't come out. Right? Just think of one day, or just think of our own day. Like if the water company says the water is going to be off from like 1 to 7. Your whole day is just changed for the one day, right? You can't flush the toilet, you can't wash your hands, you can't wash the dishes, so you're going out, right? I'm going to go out. I have 7 hours, I'm going to come back in 7 hours, right? Just think of just a couple of hours. We are so inconvenienced because the faucet doesn't turn on. So I often think that we take for granted very quickly, the little swipes off the pinky. But think about what the blood felt like. Think about walking outside this door, and literally the door opens and frogs just start to fill the room, and then everywhere that you see on the floor is just frogs everywhere. That everyone you know has lice, except for me. Right? But that everyone you know has lice, right? And that all the cattle have disease, and that so on and so forth. I mean, just think about it. Think of every piece of cattle that has disease. So that means you can't have any. So all the food is gone. You can't eat beef. You can't eat these. Just think of all of the. Go deeper into the little pinky swipes, but each one of them. Yeah.
Well, in a modern context, we're hearing very little about the effect this special military operation is having on the Russian people.
Right.
We're hearing about Vladimir Putin.
Right.
But we're not hearing about the people.
We don't hear anything. Right? In the communist countries, we don't hear anything what's going on. We don't know what happens in China, right? We don't know what happens in Russia. We don't know what happens there, right? So we don't know what happens here, but at least we try a little harder here. So, but yeah, yes.
I have a lot of things I want to say.
Great.
We know that Ukrainian soldiers or Russian soldiers are going to the
Yeah.
We do know some of the things.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'm thinking is that I've always thought about the plagues as happening one at a time.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, so it's not simultaneous.
No, no.
The water comes back, and then, okay.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I don't think the water comes back. Oh, no, I think it stays.
Oh, you think it is?
Oh, I think it's cumulative. I think that's why the system breaks. I think it's a systematic. This is the question, by the way. This is right. Oh, I think this.
There's no way you can't accept the power of God here, because every day it's more and more and more, and the people are starting to revolt against them.
And they all fit together, right? Why the locusts here? Why the locusts in the last three? Like, what do locusts do? Everything, right? They destroy everything. If it grows, it's done, right? So whatever little bit of whatever was left in the mess of the destruction that was left behind of the other 7 plagues, now it's gone, right? Now it's gone. And often the commentary says that the locusts were so, that they thought it was night. There were that many locusts, that the locusts were literally everywhere. They blocked the sun. And the noise of the locusts. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, yeah. Who's on? Gail?
Yeah, sorry, I guess going back to hardening the heart, my question is, how does hardening the heart then give the Pharaoh free choice? Is it that it has to come from his soul, his very being?
Well, it's a great question. I don't know the answer, but it's the same as if we harden our heart to something that we just see on the news over and over and over again. Sometimes we power through it. Sometimes we make a decision. Sometimes we make our informed choices based on however our heart is hardening, right? I mean, I just, yeah?
But we make that decision.
Yeah.
Whereas here it says that God informs us that he's already going to harden his heart. So
Yeah.
not even give him the choice
Right.
of choosing to harden his own heart.
Right.
God is doing it.
Do we have a choice though? I mean, I don't know. Do we have a choice of hardening our own heart, or sometimes it just gets hardened? I mean, I don't know. You think every time we have a choice? Every time? I'm not sure that we have a choice every time. Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Because our house had no water, no anything. We wanted to flush the toilet, we had to go to the pool outside and bring water in. We had no food, we had no communication with anybody, and we got used to it. We hated it, but we couldn't do anything about it at that time.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that I read in here was that the Lord wanted to make a laughing stock of Pharaoh.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I wasn't aware that was, it just doesn't seem godly. I would like to infer something, he would like to destroy them rather than make them a laughing stock.
Oh, you think God should have been more elegant? I'm just saying. It's hypothetically. Yeah. I mean, it's possible, right? When you think of God, you think of this like more clever, more elegant, sophisticated system, as opposed to I want to make him a laughingstock. But by the way, I think that God does this for a couple of reasons. I think God is doing this, A, to show God's power, B, to show that Pharaoh has no power, and also to have the Egyptians turn against Pharaoh, and also have the Israelites see the power of God. Because don't forget, the Israelites need the same convincing, by the way, everyone else does. I have the same, but the Israelites' hearts are also hardened, because they're just beaten into submission for 400 years into slavery. So I think that that it was necessary to show the Israelites also that, maybe this God is much, much stronger than Pharaoh. Maybe we should trust this God, because I've never seen this before. It's kind of miraculous, right? That's the idea of the miracles that are coming. The sea is coming next week, the sea parting, right? So yeah. Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's right. Which is probably also God, by the way. That's a whole other conversation for some other time, that when we rebuild something, that's also God. That's why I always think, like, when someone says, like, how come God could let this natural disaster happen? I always say, I don't think God made the natural disaster. I think God is the one that's there to help us after the natural disaster, and how we pull ourselves together. I think that's God. But that's a whole other conversation for some other time. So, yes.
We talked about how this is God trying to show his power, and that Pharaoh has no power. And we see the effect on the Israelites. Is there any commentary on, as you were alluding to earlier, the effect on the Egyptians? If they see my leader is weak, and these people, their God is strong, are we going to join them, knowing that perhaps when they see the Israelites leaving, maybe we should join them too to get out of here? Or is that not what we're talking about?
So it's not necessarily talked about, though. It's felt that for sure the Pharaoh is a huge disgrace, and he feels disgraced. So much so that this is such a leap, and I'm going to try and keep it to 60 seconds. There is a rumor, by the way, because we find out next week, right? No surprise. Next week is the sea parts. You know this. You heard it last year. So the sea is gonna part next week, and when the sea parts, right, the Israelites travel on the dry land, right, and then the sea closes, and then the timbrels. I'm dancing with the timbrels, yay, woo, yay. What no one realizes, by the way, is that no one hears about the Pharaoh. It doesn't specifically say that he dies. It doesn't say that he dies in the water closing. It says that the soldiers do. So no one knows where the Pharaoh is, by the way. And you don't hear about Pharaoh ever again, that Pharaoh, by the way. Whoop, gone. So no one ever knows. So there's a midrash, a very weird midrash that you can take it or leave it, which many of you might leave it, is he is so disgraced and also so transformed, actually, by the experience, that he actually realizes the power of God because of the destruction, the dismantling of what was his kingdom, right, is now destroyed, that he ends up, in all places you're sitting, in Nineveh. He ends up in Nineveh. What's in Nineveh? Jonah. And if you know the Jonah story, Jonah he travels in the boat back and forth, but then when he comes to the king, he comes to the king of Nineveh and says, you have to repent. What does the king say? Immediately, what does the king say? Sure. Yes. Absolutely. I'm not asking any questions. And then what does he do then? He makes everyone in his kingdom repent instantly too. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy it, I'm saying. But there's a really interesting midrash that says that that's the Pharaoh. That's the Pharaoh because. So it's actually it's actually from a very solid commentary from a good source. It's just a stretch, but it's a very good source commentary. But that some believe that he was so transformed by it that when God shows up again through Jonah, is just like no, yes. PTSD, yes, PTSD. He does. He's PTSD. So, you don't have to like it. I'm just saying that's probably to answer your question. And I did that. That was pretty good. And that was 90 seconds. I did that very, very quickly. That midrash explanation. Thank you very much. That was 4 minutes. Yeah, but.
It sounds more like it should have been in the children's.
Because the children's going to piece together the Pharaoh and Nineveh and the connection. I don't think so. In the coloring book, we'll leave that to Harry. He's going to manufacture that book. Harry, you're going to say something?
I was going to get past the fantasy land.
Okay, so hold on a second. So hold on to fantasy land for a second. Yes.
No, I was going back to
You're going back to reality too? Fine, let's go back to reality, everyone. Fine. So, all right, what are you going to say? Okay, Robin, go ahead.
I want to get back to the cumulative.
Cumulative, go ahead.
Because I don't think I ever thought that. But I went ahead and in 16 he reverses, sends the locusts away. I mean, of course, they have nothing left to eat, so nature, we know
Yeah.
they're going to move on to go find something.
Yeah.
But it says God sent the wind and set them away.
Yeah.
So they're not still there, but you're saying like at that time, they're still walking through frogs and not drinking water, and their cattle are still sick, like they don't end it.
And even if it does, right? So this is also part of the longer story is that why are the frogs after the blood? Why are the frogs after why is the frogs after the blood in the Nile? Because the frogs couldn't be in the Nile, right? So because the frogs couldn't be in the Nile, and then they have no water source, so the frogs probably died. So which then creates it starts to create the breakdown of society because now there's lice, right? Now there's now you're getting into yuck, the streets are yuck and you can't bathe, right? Because the blood in the now you didn't bathe and now you have decay of dead frogs everywhere and now you probably are not clean and you get lice, right? Why the order is there for a reason. Perhaps this is just a theory, right? It's just my idea. Yeah.
You know that James Cameron made this movie
Yes.
where he decodes the Exodus.
Yes.
It's called Exodus Decoded by James Cameron with all the incredible special effects, and he explains the 10 plagues, how they happen naturally, which is why it's in the Torah.
Yeah. Exactly. At the end though, it's weird because you hear the. And then he says, "I'm the king of the world. I'm the king of the world." It's really great at the end. It's really crazy. And then that's what happens. Yes.
Right around the time of the Torah being written, how a volcano exploded and created this and it created that and then this and then it was an algae bloom and that's why it turned red. He explains it.
And that's why the fish have to leave because because the algae is in the water and the whatever. And by the way, he goes on. I don't know if is he doing there or someone else does the commentary about the crossing of the sea. No, I'm saying the crossing of the sea continues too. That it was low tide, right? So that was why they could cross the sea, and not because the sea parts, right? Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's fascinating.
So you can also decide do you like that better or do you like this better? Right? This is the decision, the decision that we make. It's was there a guy named Moses who walks around with a staff? I don't know. Do you like it? Does it give you comfort to know that there's that connection? And it does. I like it for me. I like the connection in the text for me. But does the guy walking around? I don't know. I mean, yes.
If you look at the Cameron interpretation, which from science standpoint has more plausible
Sure.
explanation, looking at mentalities of people 5,000 years ago, seeing a series of natural events for which they cannot explain. They believe it's supernatural, it's something related to bad luck, to a curse from a slave people, whatever. So you could actually tie it in very nicely that it does make sense. But from their mentality, it is all supernatural that's happening. There's no explanation that they would understand, and hence these are miraculous events.
Yeah, it would be terrifying for them. Absolutely, right? How come? I pray to my idol, it doesn't working, and it's not working anymore, right? So yeah, nice. Yes.
Yeah, for me, I don't have any need for this to be a historical book, a scientifically literate book, a health book. It's a moral teaching book.
Yeah.
And from that, whether we see these things as historical things, we can learn how to live our lives in a better way. Correct.
Yeah.
Without having to accept the fact that, pork gave you trichinosis or some such thing. It's not necessarily part of what Torah is about for me.
Amazing, right? That's why the Torah is so great because, and that's why there are holes in it and there are pieces that don't connect, and it's certainly not historical because this would be a terrible history book, right? So you're right and that's why the Torah is the Torah, because for you it sits in that spot for you, and it's that moral code. It's similar to your buddy right next to you, right? Because I think that I meant Harry. I meant Harry. So often Harry says it, and I think that's why Harry is here, because he's often he's looking for the kernel to leave with. Like how does this connect this week for me in my life? Like what's it going to, right? That's kind of why you're here. Yeah. So right. So, yeah. Well, Shehechianu, which makes you right. Shehechianu, Vikiyamanu. Yes.
Going back to the hardening of the heart. So
Yeah.
I was reading forward to verse
What? You read forward? I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Yeah.
and I see this more as a statement of empathy, which is maybe an angle of what we were talking about earlier. He brings the locust, and he sends the locust away.
Yeah.
And then it says, but the Eternal stiffened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let the Israelites go. Meaning, he had the locust, and then God stiffened his heart, let him make the decision. So I see this is someone who has little empathy for the Jewish people, kept them as slaves. It doesn't say much about whether he has empathy for the Egyptian people. I would think he does as their leader. So I take this as stiffening his heart, meaning shutting off all the empathy for the Egyptians. Meaning he sees all the plagues coming. Stiffening the heart, meaning I'm not thinking anymore about how this is harming the Egyptians. All I'm thinking about is let me divert this empathy towards the Israelites and see how this is hurting them or this is benefiting them. So, and any moral compass he has for his own people, that's God shutting it off, and that's taken out of the equation. He's thinking about letting them go.
Nice.
That's just how I see it.
Nice. Yeah, nice. Because every single time, every single round for 10 times, right, the Pharaoh has a chance to make a decision somehow or not, right, wherever the hardening happens for him, right? Because he knows after the first couple, they're not bluffing, right? So, and that's going to hurt the people, right? That means it's not just the frogs that were in Pharaoh's bed. There were the frogs that were everywhere. So I must be hurting the people each time that I do this. So yeah. So you're saying that he had empathy, or he didn't have the empathy for the Egyptians?
I'm saying when Pharaoh hardens his heart, that's saying he's cutting off any empathy for the Egyptians.
For the Egyptians,
So
yeah.
only to focus on the Israelites.
Interesting. Yeah. Nice. Yes.
Okay, so in Goshen,
Yes.
where the Jews live,
Yes. Everything's fine.
everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
How come the Egyptians just don't go there for dinner?
Oh, right. Well, hey, I heard you're having pot roast. I'm coming over. This is great. This is great. No, I understand. Yeah, hey. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, you seem to have plumbing, indoor plumbing. Can we just hang out here for a few minutes? It's fine. The AC is nice and cool. Do you have a little some lemonade? Exactly, yeah. Like Henry Mushnick said, I'm sorry I kept beating you these last couple of years, but I could really use a beverage. So I don't know if you could maybe give me something from the fridge, and then I'll be out of your way. Yeah. Yes. This statement made you understand? The thing about the beverage? No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
No, I could never understand why God kept hardening his heart.
Yeah.
Why he was making it so difficult for the Israelites.
I think there are a lot of factors. Yes?
So,
Yeah, I did.
I wasn't at even point that
Harry, please continue, sir.
So, once again, as I talk about what I try to get out of this every week, all know I went to military school, and we learned a lot about strategy and a lot about war. And Powell said it when he was getting ready to go into warfare, be careful what you ask for because you might get it. But more importantly, the thing that sticks out is he said we need overwhelming power. And we talked about here in the Bible, we talked about how they were looking over the tents of Jacob and how massive it was. What we're seeing here is God is giving us that format. We're beating them mentally as well as in the power that we've got, so that they realize this is the future. I am what's going to lead you to the promised land. I am what's going to give you the ability to step back from what you've been doing for 400 years. But it's not just that he's doing with the staff and the stake and all these tasks. Those are individual tasks. He's beating them mentally.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That's what we're doing. Even today in our life, we're taking our own mental and we're overpowering what we've got to accomplish, how we have to do it. It's all mentally. And this is the mental part of it that I think we're, I think David brought it up and a couple of Bill brought the concept to it. That's what I see happening here. And what I'm getting out of it for today is that mentally I've got to be more powerful than the problems I've got to attack. And that's what about it. So your mission can be accomplished.
Well, it's certainly mental. I mean, for sure, right? And that goes back to the comment that we were talking about on how, regardless of how we look at this, probably this tribe-like culture, which was in Egypt, right, had these supernatural occurrences that they didn't understand. So that was psychological as well. I mean, they didn't understand where it was coming from. Why is the Nile filled with blood? That's not normal. That doesn't work. That's psychological. That's scary. That means that this God is more powerful than the God that I've been praying to.
And mentally, when you overcome somebody mentally, it's much more powerful than fighting physically.
Yeah.
Because you can't beat that.
Yeah, it's challenging, and it's all encompassing. It's all encompassing, for sure.
He was doing it for generations to come, so that exactly right. He wasn't just right there in the present, but he was actually doing it in such a way that like demoralizing the inner soul of the Egyptians for generations to come.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. Oh, gold star. All right, let's jump. Let's jump to the next plague. Verse 21. Same chapter, verse 21.
Then the Eternal One said to Moses, hold out your arm toward the sky, that there may be darkness upon the land of Egypt, the darkness that can be touched. Moses held out his arm toward the sky, and thick darkness descended upon all the land of Egypt for 3 days. People could not see one another, and for 3 days no one could move about, but all the Israelites enjoyed light in their dwellings.
Okay, so what do we have here? This is the ninth plague, right? The ninth plague of darkness. Why do we think darkness is the ninth plague, the second to last one? The locust made sense because of the crops and the destruction. Why darkness? It's scary, but so is everything else. I mean, everything else was scary, like lice everywhere and frogs everywhere and boils.
Their God was Ra, he was the sun god. And he's taken and said, okay, your God's so powerful, your God ain't nothing, baby.
Yes. So who was the god? Ra, right? Ra was the sun god. So now not only did I take everything away from you systematically, now I'm literally going to eclipse your God. Literally going to. And so for 3 days, right? And by the way, the Torah loves 3 days. This is another book I have to write. Like, why 3 days? Everything is 3 days. So something about the text likes 3 days. It's like, that's only why, by the way, I only go on vacation for 3 days. It's the only amount of time that I think. I don't know why. This is how the text works. Yes.
Also, the Egyptians can't see that the Israelites can't blood on the doors.
Because the blood on the door isn't happening yet, but perhaps there's like a premonition to that happening, like a foreshadow to that happening. So yeah, but so yeah.
To me, the darkness is just a prelude to more horrible things. And if you think of darkness all the time, that may be a precursor to death.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, here's the example of like the plumbing not working in the house. What about when the power goes out? Like, forget it. What? And you're not ready for the power to go out? Like, just like at 9:30 when the power goes out? Oh, okay. Now though, we have iPhones, so the first thing you do is grab your phone, right? That's the first thing you do because your flashlight's on your phone. And then this is what happens in my house, then you go to get the flashlight from where the flashlight is because you have your cell phone. But still though, now I have to walk around the house and figure everything out in the darkness, right? So all the streaming you were doing on now you can't finish your show, which is that's a plague in itself. So yes.
Yeah, I actually like Harry's explanation.
What?
Yes, I do. But as another thought, the food was just taken away. The locusts took away the food.
Yes.
Take away the sun as well, you're not getting any more food.
Right.
So that would be another.
Nice, nice. Right. So there's no and it says 3 days, but what does that mean? Also, like literally 3 days, or who knows what the 3 days means? That could also mean, you're right. It could mean three biblical days. Might be different than. It's true. It's true. Yeah. Were you saying, Fran? Were you saying?
I was just thinking, if there's no sun, then how do you know how many days it is? We measure it by the sun coming out.
Oh, that's great too. Yeah. So total disorientation, right? You can't see anything, and it says that you could feel it. You could touch the darkness. It said, which is fascinating for me, that you could feel it. That's how it was. I feel like it was like a fog, like a dark fog you could just feel or taste or smell almost. Yeah. Were you say something?
Yeah, so what I was going to say is that, we're a sensory people. So when you're in the kind of darkness that the Torah is explaining, where like you couldn't even see your face, it really shuts down all your senses and it forces you inward. And I think perhaps just an interpretation of what the Egyptians at that time must have been forced to do is really look deep inside themselves. I don't know if you guys watched Fleischman is in Trouble, but there's this scene at the end where he goes to a museum, and the museum is displaying a room that is the darkest of darkest, that people go in and they get petrified from it because every sense is gone, and they're forced to like be amongst themselves and their thoughts, and they have nothing to help them, guide them and change their idea and thoughts, and it's possible that kind of darkness really, as going back to Harry, your point of breaking down the next generation, it was like, just a complete breakdown of, who they are as human beings because zero senses.
I've not seen that show, but first of all, I hear it's very good. And second of all, it's the second reference to that exact moment about the darkness that I heard this week. So yeah, that was the same sort of feeling in the show. Yeah, it's on Hulu. It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
It's on Hulu. Yeah, it's on Hulu. Yeah, if you've not, it's very Jewish, right?
Oh
Yeah, it's very Jewish. Yeah, it's supposed to be very good. I haven't seen it yet.
Sorry to feel this at the end.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. All right, yeah. So it's on Hulu. Speaking of streaming, and then I mentioned this last night is in verse 23 where it says, people could not see one another, and for 3 days no one could get up from where he or she was, but all the Israelites had the lights in their dwellings. But the commentary goes nuts here because it says, people could not see one another. That's what it says in English. But the Hebrew says that lo ra'u ish et echav, that a person could not see their brother, meaning they could not connect. Like they were so devastated. There was some even internal breakdown that they couldn't even connect with their brother. That's how dark it was. It was solitary confinement. Yeah, it was like the connections were lost for people. They couldn't even make a connection with someone. That's how deep it was. And then that second part is also there, right? That no one could get up, meaning also no one could stand up for this. No one could understand it. No one could be in the moment. It was too terrifying to even stand. It was so terrifying that maybe just you can imagine like someone on the ground, like just in a fetal position almost, like in the terror of the darkness that you can't connect, you can't see any further. You can't. Standing up is scary because you don't know what's above you or what's on the sides of you. It was like fear almost. It was almost that God like unleashed this darkness and fear into people, into like an internal fear. Yeah.
How do the rabbis explain that the Israelites have light in their homes? It says here they have light in their homes, and the Egyptians don't. So the Israelites are able to burn wood or something, they have
So who? Who, the Egyptians, you mean? So I go all sci-fi on this. So every time I think about it, I mean, I think of like a black dome almost that fell almost onto the Egyptians and was not touching the Israelites. Like that's just how I sort of picture it. That there was just a compartmentalized darkness that only sat over the Egyptians and did not touch the dwelling places of the Israelites. That's the supernatural. Like that's like the supernatural part of this. That God was able to do this. I just told you. Yeah. I just said it. The sages just answered your question. Yeah. I just said it. Yeah. Yes, it's time. Save us. Yeah.
All the other plagues, the average Egyptian did nothing to end them. During a plague of darkness, however, could Egyptians not light candles? Perhaps the plague was not a physical darkness, a sandstorm or a solar eclipse. Perhaps it was a spiritual or psychological darkness.
Exactly.
Depression. The word melancholy comes from pain.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's what the sages said. That's what I said. So, but yes. Gail?
I liked what you said. It was either last night or your Shabbat message, which you did get if you, I don't know, I was able to get it sometime last night. When you said it's up to us to reach out to others that are in darkness. A simple kindness, a phone call, an email makes a world of difference to someone that's alone or suffering.
Yeah. Right. So, sometimes someone else is in their darkness, and you could be standing right next to them, right? And that's like you don't know that. In the same way that the Egyptians were in the darkness and the Israelites were in the light, right next to each other, you might be in two different places. Like the person you're standing next to in line might be in utter darkness, and you are fine, or vice versa. God forbid. Maybe you're in a different place or a different situation. The person next to you is perfectly fine. So yeah, yes. We are. We are to be a light unto the nation. So that's which is very very challenging. It's interesting because Mandy Batinkin was here, and he talked about, I know, and he talked about. Just for a second, he talked about being chosen and chosenness and how he actually disagreed with it. And he actually said, I don't think we're chosen. Now, it wasn't a dialogue, but I would have said, I disagree, because I think that we are the chosen people. And that, by the way, puts more burden onto us as to being the chosen people to do more and to work harder than to say that we're not chosen. So I'll take chosenness, not chosenness like I'm better than you, chosenness as in burden, I'm chosen. Like, now I have to do more. Now I have to bring more light. Now I have to do more good. Now I have to do more mitzvot. Now I have to do more connecting. So not in the like, ooh, look at me, I'm chosen. Yeah.
So wouldn't it be better to say that we're people with a burden, with a people burdened people?
Sure.
Chosen people?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. But that doesn't say that.
We do enough complaining.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Yeah.
Mordecai Kaplan's interpretation of Judaism is contrary to what you just said. His idea of chosenness is that, yeah, it's true that we've been chosen, but, is the Torah actually correct in saying that? He says that we are one of many nations, all of which are equal.
Right. He also has a few other interpretations of it, because I love Kaplan. I actually feel like some of my stuff that I say is too Kaplan a little bit. But he also has some of the views of the chosenness of the flip, that in the chosenness it's not like the ooh yeah I'm chosen, but oh gosh I'm chosen, ugh, right? It's almost like. Kaplan, I think, sometimes would align to what Tevye would say, right? I know we're the chosen people, but sometimes could you just choose somebody else, right? Right. That's why Tevia's line is so good. That's why you can reference Tevye all the time, because it's so eloquent. It makes such a statement to say, right? Choose someone else. It's enough with us, right? I know we're chosen, but stop. Do something else with someone else for a little while. Yeah. Uh-huh. Sure. Mm-hmm. Love that. I love that. I love that play on the heart too. I love the play on the different view of the heart, playing on the heart in the text. It's very nice. Very nice. Yeah, and then we're going to keep going for 5 minutes. Yes. Right. Yeah, I mean, he didn't say no, but he said, "Me? This is a terrible idea. This is a bad choice. Me? Really? I can't talk." So yeah, is it fast? Because I want to jump a little.
No, this is, I guess, a commentary from Fox.
Oh, Fox. Okay, I'll listen to Fox.
Summing up what we've read so far.
Yeah.
Final warning in Exodus 11:1-10. What seems to be the introduction to the last plague is made up of motifs common to several of the previous ones. It also reintroduces the idea of spoiling the Egyptians, which has been mentioned in Moshe's original commission. So we know that redemption is at hand. Artfully, the specification of what one more blow is delayed until verse 5. In addition, there is the motif of Moses' greatness, fame amongst the Egyptians, which would appear to be a suppressed remnant of the story in face of the desire to glorify God as the hero. The section ends, verses 9 and 10, with the summary of the entire plague narrative, or at least what it is to be learned from.
It's interesting that he re-elevates Moses and says that he might, because he was at some point the head of the Egyptians, right? And so it's interesting that he re-elevates him in that spot too. I love Fox. He's so cool. All right, chapter 11, really quickly. You go to chapter 11. You go to verse 4. It says, Moses said, "Thus says the Lord, toward midnight I will go forth among Egyptians, and every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die." So there's the premonition, all right? There's the statement that's going to be made for the last plague. Yes?
The word male is in a bracket, and there is interpretation. Sometimes it's the firstborn male you hear, but it clearly doesn't say that. It's implied. How do we interpret that? In other places, it's just the firstborn, period. Female, whatever.
Yes, so it's tricky because the Hebrew says bechor, and a bechor is a firstborn male. So it's a place of to this day in more of the sort of more traditional worlds, I would say Orthodox / more ultra Orthodox worlds. The bechor, the firstborn male, is the king. He rules the house. Even if there were 43 girls born before him, when the first male is born, he can do no wrong. So there's still some of that sort of remnant. So it doesn't say necessarily, but it just says the word bechor, and that means firstborn male. So yeah, but yeah, right. And in this whole section, yeah. So all right. So I just wanted you to see that the premonition is there in 11, but if you go to 12, we start to see a lots of Passovers starting in chapter 12, right? So this is the month, shall mark the beginning of the months. It shall be the first month. This is on verse 2, sorry. It should be the first of the months of the year, which is Nisan, which is the first month of the year. If you go down to verse 7, 12:7, it says, they shall take some of the blood and put it on the doorposts and the lintel of the houses, right? So there's the beginning of that we know from the Passover. That's how the angel of death will know to pass over, right? There's 8. They shall eat the flesh that same night, and they shall eat it, oh my gosh, look, roasted over the fire with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Oh my goodness, this sounds so familiar and not delicious at all. Yes. And then if you keep going, same chapter, you go to verse 14, to verse 15. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. On the very first day you shall remove the leaven from your houses. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day to the seventh day shall be cut off from Israel. So that's why I forced myself to eat matzah for 7 days, because I don't have to cut off from Israel. Otherwise I wouldn't eat matzah. I'm like, it's terrible. And then if you go to 18, in the first month, from the 14th day on the month, at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month, right? So there's all the components that build exactly how the Seder and exactly how Passover looks. Then we get to 21. So now we're on 21. So Moses then summoned all the elders of Israel and said to them, go pick out lambs for your families and slaughter the Passover offering. Then it says, take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and apply some of the blood that is in the basin to the lintel of the doorpost, of your doorposts. So, what's that? Exactly. So there you go. What's that? And it's sort of like a paintbrush, right? So why the hyssop? Why the hyssop? This is my favorite drash ever. One of my favorite drashot. Why the hyssop? Because the hyssop was this low-growing, very lowly vegetation. So it sort of proves that it doesn't matter anyone's status, that of all of the commentaries from all of the vegetation that existed in the world, why the hyssop was used to put that very important blood. It could have been any vegetation, but the hyssop is chosen because of the humility that we should have in all these moments, the humility we should have in Passover, the humility that we should have in our lives, that in this greatest moment of the marking that really saves us, and this becomes part of our epic story, is that the hyssop maybe is one of the greatest characters in all of our story, because it's literally the thing that allows us to brush the blood onto the doorpost. Plus it's a doorpost, so that's of course one of my favorite topics, because it's liminal. I mean, it's not here or there, it's on the doorpost, so that's a whole other conversation that we don't have time to go into. And then I just want us to see this, which is pretty cool, and I think we can end here. If you go all the way to the end of chapter 12, all the way to the end of 12, it's almost as if in 2 verses everything changes. It's kind of great how the Torah works. So if you see all the way at the end of 12, it says verse 50, and all the Israelites did so as the Lord had commanded. Moses and Aaron so did. Then you go to 51, that very day, the Lord freed the Israelites from the land of Egypt, troop by troop. So also, like, just in those two verses, right, everyone heard what they were supposed to hear, and then actually the freedom, which no one even really mentions verse 51, but that's the day that God says, that's the day that God actually frees us. So the freedom actually begins right there in that moment. And then the sort of the rest of the chapter just kind of reminds us of the signs that God shows us, and it takes us right to Beshalach, which is next week, takes us to the sea, to the edge of the sea, and then the sea parts, and then we get the timbrels. And away dancing with your
People are actually free after the sea, and not necessarily at that moment at 51, because technically
They were still slaves.
they were still slaves. They were being chased. If they were caught, they were going back. But then, the sea parts,
But they were free. But they were free.
They were let go, but they were running away.
Okay.
and then they were chased,
Well, they were chased.
and they complained.
Well,
Like,
can't stop that can't stop that. But that's
why they rejoiced in song.
but that very day it says the Lord freed the Israelites from the land of Egypt, troop by troop. That they were literally they were no longer in Egypt.
Think God's wrong.
So you think God's wrong. Well, I'm saying that they left, right? That very day, God freed the Israelites from the land of Egypt. They were freed from the land of Egypt because they started to leave Egypt. That was
They
their...
were free from the land of Egypt, but they weren't a free people yet.
Well, they were also free people because they weren't under the tyranny of Pharaoh anymore. So, I don't know. Harry, what do you think?
No.
Oh, no, he's gone. All right. No, I know. That's not true, actually. That's not...
Harry's wrong.
That's right, correct. That's actually not true. I had a professor who took roll exactly at the time class started, and if there were no people in there, he did roll out loud to an empty room. And if you came in late and you missed your name, you were absent. So he would say to you, you can choose to either stay for class and learn something or leave because I marked you absent. And that was it. He did it every single week. We walked in, and he said, if class started, I believe class started at like 9:40. If you came in he would start at 9:40. He would go alphabetically. Good thing I was a K, so I often made it in on time. But the A's and the B's. Actually, one of my good friends from rabbinic schools, parents are sitting right back there, and her last name now is now her last name starts with an S, but it used to start with a B, and she often was marked tardy from that class. So, and it drove her crazy, and we would often talk about it. So my friend Deborah Bach, now Scholden Fry, but so she went from the B to the S. But yes. So it was because, and so that was what professor. That professor also started class the year before we started, which is thankful, because he used to be a rabbi for alcohol, tobacco, and firearms for ATF, and so he would start class sometimes by putting his gun on the table to start class in the seminary. Interesting man. He's deceased now, but he was an interesting fellow. So he would start class, and we'd be like, you have to hurry up. He's going to mark you absent. He was taking roll call. He was taking roll call right from the beginning. So it doesn't matter if you're here or not. You can still take a roll call. All right, thanks everyone for a very interesting convo on plagues and on how we navigated them. Torah is still out, so we'll take a moment to think of those in our community who are in need of healing, that physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. If there's someone you're thinking of, please share their name. We'll do Zoom first.
Applicators. Oops, sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
Irma Jacob, Jerry Cruz, Mark Horowitz. Thank you.
Apple Kapner, Stuart Fruman, Lawrence May, Gerard family, Sandy Tankus, Ken Tankus, Gail Gibson, all those affected by fighting in Israel, the war in Ukraine, anti-Semitism, other hate crimes and violence, and Mark Davis for Marsha Davis.
Leah Bodrivkin, Esther Bodrivkin, Maria Bodrivkin, Mary Pearson, Judy Levine, Carmela Bansara Badov, Yosef Golda Benoisha, Sandy Kantankus, Rivka Kaya Atlaya, Ian Hest, Vin Mordechai.
Francie Craven, Stu Tarragona.
Barry Moises, Paula Siegel, Paula Benaron.
משבח אבותינו ואמותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב שרה רבקה רחל ולאה וברך את החולים הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם להחלימם לפותם להחזקם ואשלח להם רפואה שלמה מן השמיים רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף השתה בעלה ובזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah bless and heal those who are ill. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health be restored and their strength be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as together we say, Amen. We are going to return the Torah to the Ark. That is on page 256 in your Siddurim, and together we stand.
Yehallelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado Odo al eretz v'shamayim vayarem keren le'amo Tehila lechol chasidav livnei Yisrael am kerovo Hallelujah Hallelujah Eitz chaim hi Lama chazikim ba v'tomcheha me'ushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netioteha shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu
Please be seated. Few 8,000 announcements. But Mitzvah Day is on the 5th. So if you haven't signed up, you can sign up on our website to help, to donate, to be here on campus, to go to several locations. But please join us for a really lovely and important day here for CBI. We are going to. There are a lot of different classes. Rabbi Khan is teaching a herstory class. She's doing a well circles class. Those are coming up at the beginning of February also. We have Rabbi Silver's class is in March. There's a 3-part series that he'll be doing, I want to say, starting March 10th, I think I want to say, but it's 3 weeks in a row. In the afternoon, I believe it's a lunch and learn with lunch included, the magic words, lunch included. So he'll be teaching, and it's like it's a class on like, are they Bubba Mainzes or are they real? Like he's doing is it real stuff we do, or is it all made up and we just kind of follow what our grandparents told us? So it's kind of cool. So he'll be doing a class that's in March. We have Dan Nichols is coming on the 24th of February, so that's Friday night, and then he'll be here Saturday night for like a campfire-y type fun, sit around the campfire type thing, and then the Sunday, the 26th, is going to be our Dubov concert, which is at 1:30 here at CBI, so certainly come for that. That is just going to be amazing. There are tickets for those, but the tickets are very, very reasonable. I think they're $18 or $36 for those tickets. So come and join us for that. There's a ton more stuff. Oh, there are lunch and learns. Oh no, there's coffee and conversation. There's coffee and conversation happening also in February. That's February 12th. Is it February 12th? So on February 12th, so that's when you come here on Sunday mornings, and we have a bunch of food and a bunch of coffee and some good chat. Are you next? Is it you or is it Rabbi Khan? I think you're next. Yeah. So taught by Cantor Muchnick. Cantor Muchnick has classes also in April that he'll be teaching. So there's a ton. There's nonstop. Also, Mahjong as you're a Maj fan. Join us in this very room, by the way. Maj happens in this very room twice a week. So you can come and do Maj here. That's our president of the shul is very excited about that, so we have to mention that. Sharon is the Maj queen. What? Purim. Purim's happening. Yes, it's still happening, right? Still happening. Yes. So Purim is happening. Next year, I find out Purim is Friday night. Erev Purim is a Friday night. So it's going to be interesting for us to figure that out. Oh, no, Saturday night. It's a Saturday night. I think it's a Saturday. It's a Saturday night. I think it's a Saturday night. That's next year, though, not this year. Right. I think that's it. There's so many things. Check the website. There's so many. We are program central. Every week there's something going on. All right. What's that? Yes, there's a Nagel Film Festival movie that's coming out. Also, I'm telling you, if you go to the website and hit calendar, every single week there are 4 or 5 great learning opportunities and a lot of programs. Well, every day, almost every day. Yeah, almost every day. Oh, the flyers are on this in the rotunda for sure. Yeah, yes. See the paper; they're all out there too. Yeah. All right, let's begin to conclude our service. Aleinu 282, and together we stand.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tzeit gidula le'yotzei breshit, shelo asanu ki goyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu ki mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, וגאור עלינו ככל העולם ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ולמודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד Ushemo
Echad. We mourn the passing of Brooke Fernandez, sister of Heather Appel, aunt of Abigail and Sophie Appel. And as we mentioned last night, very unfortunately, we add the names of the 7 Israelis who were gunned down this past Friday night as they were leaving services, and we also send lots of strength to the other 10 who were injured and to their families from the terror attack this past Friday night in Jerusalem. Our yortzites for this week here at CBI: Edward Mickler, Rose Bloom, Howard Brown, Eleanor Burstein, Barry Drucker, Shirley Feldman, Riva Gertrude Feidler, Alvin Fisher, Michael Gold, Barry Gordon, Louis Itzkowitz, Melvin Karnowski, Jerry Lee, Marvin Lynn, Edith Michelson, Aaron Miller, William Mintz, Sid Nadell, Corey Nahum, Gianluca Petrella, Elizabeth Rosen, Julius Rosen, Edith Rothschild, Ernest L. Rothschild, Beatrice Schildkraut, Helen Schwartz, Lillian Tolman, Betty Hamilton. To those names, we had any name that you'd like to add at this time?
Shalashim for Admosting.
Kadisha Tom 294. Yitkadal v'ikadash merabah ve'amad divrach chiruteh ve'amlich malchuteh v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayot chol bet Yisrael b'gala v'zman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabah mevorach le'olam ulmei maya yitbarach v'ishtabach v'itpa'a v'tomam v'itnaseh v'itadar v'itale v'itala shmei likudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel. As together we say, amen. We're going to conclude our service this morning with
Shomer Yisrael 329.
wow, nice. 329.
Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shemor She'erit Yisrael. Shomer, Shomer Yisrael, Shemor She'erit Yisrael. Ve'al Yovad Yisrael, Ve'al Yovad Yisrael, Haomrim Shema Yisrael. Shomer Gohi Echad, Shemor She'erit Zam Echad. Shomer Gohi Echad, Shemor She'erit Zam Echad. Ve'al Yovad Goy Echad, Ve'al Yovad Goy Echad, Ham Yachadim Shimcha, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Adonai Oz la'amo yiten, Adonai varech et amo v'shalom. May God give strength unto our people. Continue to bless us with love and strength and peace. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.